Good afternoon. It is October 14th, 2024, and it is about 6:50 p.m. This is a meeting of the Streets and Sidewalks Committee. To my left is Councilman Jeffrey Schilling, and to my right is Councilwoman Susan Westfall, and I'm Bob Phillips, the chair. We're here to hear a staff report about authorizing the professional services agreement for the design of the downtown safety and streetscape renovation. And seeing that Mr. Davis is gone, I assume, Mr. Titterington, you're going to present.
I can. Mr. Kegley is also in the audience from our engineering staff. We are asking for council authorization to proceed to the next step in the design plans for the streetscape safety project. You might recall last year when council authorized LJB to begin the work, we indicated that this would be a two-step process, that phase one would be more of concepts and ideas and some renderings with a certain level of detail, but certainly not to the point of being able to bid out the project. With the idea that at the point when phase one was done, then we would have a series of input meetings, which we had. Some of their concepts were more enthusiastically embraced than others, and so the consultant and the staff got together, and as a result of that, they've modified their recommendations and their alternatives to, I think, everybody's satisfaction, or as much as possibly could be with a large group. We did have a lot of feedback. It was all good. It was all constructive. Sometimes more positive than others, but definitely constructive. As a result, the consultant rethought the design of the inner circle, the center island, I guess is what we're calling it, as well as some of the safety features, and they got a much better idea of the kind of streetscape improvements that the council and the community wants to see. As a result of that, they're ready to go to phase two, which would be the detailed design, which would enable us to get to a point of bidding for construction. That is not what we're asking for tonight. We're asking for the phase two design plans, because those have to be reviewed by council as well. The budget includes the $617,000 that's requested here. That was identified as part of their overall two-phase approach back then, so they haven't adjusted that price for any particular reason, namely inflation, which is a good thing. And so we are asking that you recommend to council to authorize me to sign the agreement with LJB to continue to do this work. We are not asking for emergency legislation.
Got it. Do we have a timeline on the design phase? How long it would take them?
Mr. Cagley, do we have a timeline? We do a timeline. It's going to be... Come on in. Don't talk and walk. Yeah, I didn't bring mine.
Well, they did provide a timeline. Which stack of my paperwork is it in?
Stan, could you identify yourself for the record?
I am Stan Kegley with the City of Troy Engineering Department. Give me a moment. They gave us a lot of paperwork with this project.
We had music.
Okay, so here we go. Yeah. Basically, they'd like to, by the end of February, have the conceptual design submitted. I'm going to say late in May, have a detailed design submittal. Mid-July, have construction documents submitted. And then by around September 1st, we'd sell the project. Okay. So that's roughly the engineer's cycle.
And just to remind, one of the things that we modified in the conversations that we had from with stakeholders and the public and the businesses downtown is the timing of the project. Initially, we had anticipated that perhaps we would start the project next year. We intend on recommending in the 2025 budget the utility work, because there's particularly water and stormwater work that needs to be done in advance. We would do that in the second half of 2025, and then start the construction sometime probably early second quarter, maybe earlier, but in 2026. The exact timing and the exact execution would be something that we would want to have a dialogue with the best and lowest bidder to understand, what their approach might be, whether it's working at night, doing hybrid work, maybe doing it all as quickly as possible, maybe spreading it out with the least amount of pain, just a variety of things. So that was another element that we adjusted as a result of the feedback.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Do either of you folks have?
No, just to clarify, so May we'll have the design that looks like what it's going to look like. Is that correct?
Yeah. This contract gives you hard blueprints, all the underground work, curbs, sidewalks. As you can imagine, all the buildings in the square were built in the 1800s with different door elevations. So what you're going to see is it's going to take a lot of time to put those together, but their target date is in May.
Okay.
But the February submittal is going to be a key submittal, because that's really where your feedback is going to be very important, because once they understand, yes, we like this concept, or we like this amended concept, then that's when they move forward with really doing the detailed work and the
So in
blueprints.
February, we'll be able to, if we see something that we need to discuss or we don't like or whatever, that's when we're giving our feedback, and then they'll come up with something in May.
That's
That
my understanding.
makes everyone
Yes.
happy, so to
Yes.
speak.
That's the target.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you. Mr. Schilling?
Mr. Cagle, I did have a question. We've been obviously discussing this for a while, and it occurred to me that I know we're going to be doing some water work, bringing better water flow to the buildings and that type of thing, and also probably sanitation going out the other way. Has anybody given any thought to using the alleys to do this instead of? I mean, I know the water thing probably run down the middle of Main Street now and Market Street, but many of those buildings are you have access behind the buildings by alleys. And would it be conceivable to save some of the disruption if we ran those new water lines through the alleys instead of digging up the square and digging up the streets? Is that a possibility? I mean, in other words, we can run water about anywhere we want to.
Well, a lot of the buildings, their access is from the front of the buildings. There's a loop inside the square, and if you put the water lines other places, now you've got to run the services, other routes. So most of the services, I understand it, come out the front of the buildings. It would be easier and less dramatic, possibly, for the building owners to put it back close to the way it is currently. We can certainly explore that, but I believe that's why they want to replace the water lines roughly in approximately the same locations.
And access to the water mains is primarily in the middle of the road anyway. So we're going to be cutting into the road to get it to the alley or to get it to the front of the building. And it's to upgrade and replace the mains, the service lines, perhaps add some service lines for fire suppression, those kind of things. And It's really going to depend on the property and where the access is into the building, as well as where our access is in the street. So there's a lot of things at play, and the engineering staff and probably their engineers, our utility engineers, will be looking at that on a case-by-case basis.
Because again, our downtown businesses have been through so much here over the last 5 or 6 years, and if there was, I mean, it may be a little bit more. I'm thinking maybe a little bit more expensive to run through the alleys, but if it saves some wear and tear on the businesses, it might be worth it. But I know, I would say more than half the buildings have access alleys behind the buildings. And so you've got water lines running down Mulberry, you've got water lines running down Plum Street, all the streets, anyway, those north-south streets, anyway, and so, why not look at putting them through the alleys instead of running through the, right down the middle of Main Street, I guess, Main Street and North and South Market Streets.
Yeah, we're not gonna be.
Yeah, I'm just thinking is all, I know.
Yeah, I understand. But
I do that every once
we
in a while.
won't be laying new lines, we'll be replacing lines that are already there where we can. As far as the side streets, not sure what their capacity is, what their size is, if they're sized appropriately to be able to handle that kind.
Right,
So
I mean, it'd
there's
be
a lot of
something to look
factors.
at, I guess, I don't know, just, again, try to minimize the impact of the businesses, their front doors, and work through the back on it. I don't know, that's my only comment. Thank you so much.
Any other council folks have any questions? Mr. Pierce?
Thank you. I don't think those are bad questions to ask, so thank you for asking them. You said second half 2025, utility water work will begin. Will we be shutting down the street for an extended period of time while doing that, or what's that going to look like on our business?
We haven't confirmed the construction schedule or any of that, the traffic control. I really would anticipate that we would not be doing that, shutting down the street wholesale. We may have to tighten a lane up here or there, but again, we're not to that point yet.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Excuse me. Anyone else in the audience have any questions or comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, what is your, how do you feel about this project?
Move forward.
Move forward, it's
Thank you,
unanimous.
Stan.
I'm sorry? Okay, gotcha.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Fagley.
It's unanimous with the committee that we move forward as staff is requesting. Are there any other items to come before the Streets and Sidewalks Committee?
No.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.